Marhaba, welcome back. You're listening to Urban Women with me, Razia Rangwich, only on the airwaves of Raja Al Ansar International. Now, South Africa's Matric Grade 12 class of 2023, which wrote final school leaving exams late last year, has been hailed by the country's Minister of Basic Education for achieving extraordinary results. Now, alhamdulillah, there's a lot of hype going on around the matriculants and those that have done exceptionally well. But on the flip side, what about those who didn't do so well? And for that, we'd love to welcome our guest on Urban Woman this morning. That is Brother Idris Khamisa, who is a motivational and international speaker. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Urban Woman.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Always great to come to the studio and of course interact with you and in this great program. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Now, you are an international consultant in education and human development. Alhamdulillah. So I think we have the perfect person to touch on this. Since the results came out, I've always been thinking, and I think because of my work as well with the coaching and being an emotional wellness coach and things like that, life is not only of the good. There's also those who tried hard, didn't achieve, and didn't do so well. Now, we know, how the hype is put around. The spotlight is really put on the matriculants, on their results. And then later on in life, Brother Idris, it's like they sit back if they didn't achieve what they did, or maybe something happened along the way that was beyond their control, or maybe they had certain problems, within themselves, within their learning faculties, shall I say. And then sometimes you sit and you say, if only I did well in matric, my life could have been different. Now, I would like you, of course, to give us some tips, some motivation, some inspiration around these kind of students that probably are sitting in this energetic space.
You see, there are a few fundamental things. There is a beautiful book called Failing Forward. You learn more from failure than from successes. And when you fail, it's not because you're an idiot, right? And you got to understand that Allah has made us with different abilities and whatnot. What is important is this, that academic success on its own is not a precursor or indicator of real success. Mm-hmm. And you find when you look at people who enjoy a modicum of success in life, you make assumptions that throughout their life, fate was on their side. Mm-hmm. They were born with a silver platter, as it were, a silver spoon. Mm-hmm. But what happens is this: once you engage them, you realize, what? The many a times, they made mistakes. They had fallen, but they picked themselves up, and as a result, they become resilient. They have a deeper understanding of what's happening around them, and failure itself teaches you humility. I mean, I'm not shy to say that I failed matric.
Wow.
Yeah, people get a shock. I failed matric, and because I know why I failed. I was a naughty boy, right?
There we go.
Naughty boy, you, right?
And you're owning it, okay.
yeah. So, and in my second year, I took it very, very seriously, right? Allah bless my parents. May Allah grant them Jannatul Firdaus, and teachers, and that was a tipping point in my life. I mean, people look at what I've done now. I mean, written 3 books, conducted workshops in over 30 countries,
Wow.
And people can't believe it. And that failure was really, for me, if I succeeded, I don't think I would have been as successful now as I would have been. So I think it's important, and I think parents need to show empathy. Of course, you must confront the elephant in the room. You need to understand exactly what happened. Is it an attitudinal issue? Is it a factual issue? What does my son and daughter need to do differently? Let us not be so draconian in our measures.
Correct.
And chastise them so much, mm-hmm. and diminish them, mm-hmm. and say, I'm so fed up with you. Mm-hmm. But the important thing as parents, I think, throughout the academic life, you need to be very, very supportive of them. And gone are the days when university education was like a panacea to all our issues. Today, any young person who has got a particular skill he can develop, he can be very productive,
Alhamdulillah. You know what? Thank you so much for being so honest, for sharing it, because I think many matriculants are listening in, could be listening in, perhaps their parents are listening in, or their close circle, and they could share this information with them to inspire them to say, look at Brother Idris Khamisa, where he is, and having failed. And as you said, failure, definitely, it's not that you're an idiot. It's like, it forces you then to push through. I would say get out of your comfort zone. Now, I want to just go one step back. When you failed Matric, what were your emotions at the time and your belief systems that you started then saying?
At that time, of course, I was disappointed, right? Not that I didn't do any work, but I realized the errors that I made, right? And it was, I didn't allow it to consume me.
Right.
I think an important aspect is once you allow this to diminish your self-esteem, where you're concerned about other people's opinions. One of my friends, may Allah grant Jannatul Firdaus, when he failed Matric, he left school. And years later, he said to me, Idris, I should have done what you did. I think he was concerned about society, he was concerned about other people. And in fact, and being a head teacher of so many schools, I've seen this, that there are exceptions to the rule. What I'm saying is anecdotal, not based on empirical research. That I found those kids that were average at school, many of them are far more productive in society, far more charitable. Those outstanding students, not all of them of course, are more concerned about the personal achievements. It's about me, myself, I. And they appear to lack the ummatic consciousness. Others are playing a great role in society in terms of volunteering. And I think in the end, whatever emotions you go through, nothing is permanent. Allah tells us that with every heartache there is ease. And in the end, you should not allow other people's opinions to define you. For example, I have a very, very dear friend, and their family is like my own,
Yes.
And when I asked him about his daughter's results, I could make out, there was a degree of sadness. He said, no, she did okay or whatever. So I knew there was something amiss. And I learned that she had a diploma pass, and I went to see her. And I said to her, and she's a lovely kid, right? And lovely child and impeccable character. So I said to her, don't give up, my girl. This is part of life. It's part of growth. Reflect, learn,
And learn,
and I have no doubt that she's going to be very, very productive, inshallah.
Inshallah. So that's the key. Reflect and learn. It's not the end all and be all. And I think that's what society makes Matric to look like. What would you say to the parents perhaps that are now, like as you said, your good friend, what happened? There probably are many parents who sacrificed, paid the high school fees. Maybe we don't know people's situations, but many put their children first. Their school fees must be up to date. Try and get them in top-notch schools so that they can have a better future, so to say, in education. But if their children did not achieve those results, what do you have to say to the parents as well? Because it can dampen them also.
You know what? I think parents, in the end, should be the greatest protectors of their children. I'm not saying you need to isolate them or insulate them, but you need to inoculate them, prepare them for the real world. And what is fundamental is parents should have a very mature understanding about what life is all about, and they themselves should extrapolate from their own life the lessons they have learned. And if you look at the seerah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, an abiding principle is one of gradualism. There's no overnight success,
100%.
right? And it's important. If you got a kid whose akhlaq is impeccable, if you got a child that is decent, a child that is obedient, right? And that child fails. I mean, come on, man. What is more important, his character or his academic ability? But what you need to do is to confront the issue but not confront the child. And it's important to take him by the hand and say, you know what, let us together see what we can do. What have you learned, my son? No, daddy is here, give him a hug, right? And I'm not saying that you've got to be overly indulgent. Of course, what you need to call a spade,
Yep.
but at that time when the emotions are low, I think you need to show a lot more hikmah and wisdom,
Alhamdulillah. This takes me to a saying that I read. You probably came across it, where it's do not hate the person, hate the sin. Do not hate the person, hate the action. So as you said, confront the issue and not the child. What is the problem? So learn, reflect, grow. And often, if we look around, the very successful people, they are those that had the most amount of failures.
Yeah. In fact, I want to say this, without being presumptuous, is that I was a head teacher and teacher, right? And alhamdulillah, my teachers, many of them got a shock. They might have got a shock when they learnt that I became the chairman of the English Society of South Africa, right?
Alhamdulillah.
And the important, but the critical aspect is this, that I like to believe as a teacher, as a head teacher, I showed more compassion than most other people because of my failure. I could give them self-belief.
Alhamdulillah.
I could show them that it's what I've been through. And that makes a huge difference,
That's it. That brings in emotional intelligence, understanding what somebody is going through. And I find that is key, when I reflect. And I think that is something educators definitely need to bring in, because you don't know what somebody is feeling. And all we do is place things on the results. But what is behind that is always a human being that
in
needs
fact,
to be
the point that
properly.
you made, I want to reinforce that. I think the biggest shortcoming in our schools is their focus is almost solely on cognitive development, on the IQ.
100%.
And studies have shown that EQ is worth twice the IQ.
Absolutely.
Your IQ might take you to the university, but it is your EQ that will help you in leadership, dealing with other people, teamwork, as you said, empathy, and understanding others. It's not about me, myself, I. And that's not a concept. It's a concept that's frowned upon in Islam anyway,
We see a little bit too much of me, myself, and I. And you know what? And I think that is why, and this is a topic for something another time, is we're feeding into the narcissistic traits because it's too much of that. And again, our deen is so beautiful. It's not about that. It's how can we help each other. There's a wonderful message coming through. Salams Razia, hope all is well. Dear brother Khamisa, I would like to take this opportunity in thanking you and the board of Willowton Sanzaf in the humane, comfortable and reassuring manner in which you conducted interviews of bursary applicants late last year. My daughter was one of them. She unfortunately hasn't received a seat at university yet in spite of good results or bachelor's pass. And I liaised this with the office, who understandably confirmed I may upload all documents when I do get them, alhamdulillah. May the Almighty accept and reward all role players. Ameen. From Mrs. Khan. She's also sent papers to Remark and sending a little bit more information here. She says, I've sent papers to Remark as we felt something amiss considering my child performed excellent results throughout the year and disappointed with certain symbols in the finals. So this is also an option to anyone who feels they have been prejudiced. And Allah knows best. Ameen.
Forward that message to me.
I definitely will.
Yeah, it's urgent. I'm having a meeting. So the people like the Willowtons, Allah bless them,
Ameen.
and Sanzef that are helping, it really gives them a sense of fulfillment that they're people that are grateful and appreciate this,
Absolutely. It makes a difference.
Yeah, it does.
I had clients that came through and this poor woman is telling me, obviously thanks to this, to the bursaries and things that are getting, her 2 children are now getting educated, and of course that's going to change their whole route and life going forward, inshallah. So Allah Azza wa Jal reward you abundantly. Jazakallah khair. There's a little bit of a noise coming through. Jazakallah khair for your time, brother Idris Khamisa. Always wonderful having you on and such an inspiration. And we thank you as well for your authenticity and for your honesty. And I think a lot of matriculants will draw lots of inspiration from what you have said, inshallah.
I like to say, I like it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.